Hello and welcome to another episode here on my channel. My name is Chaos Mole and today we have another gaming news for you, and this one is an interesting one. So apparently Microsoft has officially announced that they stopped production of all their previous Xbox consoles in 2020. And they stopped the manufacturing of the Xbox One S, the latest, at the end of 2020. And they are saying that they want to focus on production of the Series X and S. We stopped production of all Xbox One consoles by the end of 2020, says Cindy Walker, Senior Director of Xbox Console Production and Marketing. So that is as official as it gets. And this is super interesting for multiple reasons. The first is that Microsoft basically immediately forsake their old consoles, which makes kind of sense. Let's be real here. Even though Xbox recovered by the end of that console lifetime cycle, the Xbox One was pretty meh. It didn't sell well, especially in comparison to the PlayStation, and there wasn't also too many games on it. There wasn't too many games planned in the foreseeable future. And it makes totally sense that it would move on from that, especially when you have a contingency plan. You have the Xbox Series S. Like, keep that in mind. I know that some people sometimes forget that and they're focusing on the X and in comparison to the PlayStation 5. But the S is a thing, and it seems to be relatively simple to be manufactured. They have already sold so many more Xbox Series S than they have sold Xbox Series X, at least what we have heard from non-official sources, because it is easier to produce. And if you remember, we right now have a chip shortage. So it seems like whatever parts they're needing for the S is easier to get than the X. So for them, why would they focus on the old products? Like, they have a starter kit with the Series S, and they can deliver on it for a pretty low price. So it makes totally sense that they're saying, yeah, why would we stick with the Xbox One series? We have actually something which is selling really good. So makes totally sense. The second point why this is super interesting for me is yesterday we had the news that Sony has confirmed that the PlayStation 4 production is still ongoing. They are still producing the PlayStation 4s. And that also makes sense because A, Sony has always been doing that. If you're looking back at the PlayStation 3, at the PlayStation 2 and all that, like, they have always continued to produce the previous console generation for like another year or two before they stopped production, and they were just running out of it at some point, right? And especially the PlayStation 4. Like, the PlayStation 4 has sold bonkers and is still selling quite well, right? Because, well, getting a PlayStation 5 is like finding a real life unicorn in the real world. And some people are just saying, yeah, you know what? I buy a PlayStation 4 instead. And why that is so interesting to me, and this is one of the things where I have to say, please don't do that in the foreseeable future. I would appreciate it. Remember when Sony was saying, we believe in generations, and for us, we are basically moving on the moment the PlayStation 5 is out. And if you are not buying a PlayStation 5, well, that's your problem. And it's like, look, don't say that. That makes it look like a huge dick. But it gets really problematic when you are not following up on that. Like, keep that in mind. Sony said that, but they haven't been really following through with it. A lot of their games are also coming out of PlayStation 4. Like, just in a few weeks, we have Horizon Forbidden West. dum dum dum, it's also coming out on PlayStation 4, right? It's like, for you to believe in generations, Sony, you are still like focusing a lot on the older generations. And again, I don't blame them for that. I would have actually felt it far more weird if they would have done exactly what they said. But if you're not following through with it, just don't do it. Like, just don't say that just to get in a blow on Xbox. And by the way, God of War Ragnarok is also coming out for the PlayStation 4. Another big title is coming out on PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4. Like, Xbox had more next generation games and only next generation games than PlayStation had at this point. And again, I look, I'm not an Xbox fanboy. I still have a pretty big grudge against Microsoft. And I had more Sony consoles in my life than I had Xbox consoles. I admit that. But if you're starting a low blow, you might want to follow up that one, right? And so it is absolutely fascinating to see that basically the point I want to make is that Sony announced that they are focusing on the next generation immediately and they are believing in generations, yada, yada, yada. And then Microsoft is like, we want to like give the older generation a chance, and we are basically focusing on both. And they are doing also the complete opposite. So we have now two companies who basically do the complete opposite of what they have more or less announced over the years. And it is just fascinating to see that. So, but yeah, this is, in my opinion, good news for Microsoft. It seems like they have found a product which sells pretty well. And especially with the Xbox Series S, they seem to have hit a nerve for a lot of people, for a lot of different reasons. And so it makes absolutely sense, in my opinion, to just move on from the Xbox One. I always had the feeling that Xbox wanted to move on from the Xbox One years ago. And that they can finally do it. It's a bit like a bad relationship, like an abusive relationship, where they had to stick with the Xbox One because the next generation wasn't ready yet. But they really, like, you always felt it, like how they want to just get rid of it. And, well, now they're doing it. So, good for them. But with that said, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this gaming news. If you did and you were on your way out, I would appreciate if you leave a like. If you're new to the channel and you want to see daily gaming news, reaction videos, tips and tricks for new games, opinion videos, then you came to the right channel, and I would appreciate if you might consider to subscribe to the channel. If you ever want to catch me live, you can do so from Monday to Friday, starting at 9 a.m. ET, which is 2 p.m. UK time and 3 p.m. Central European time. With that said, thank you so much for watching. Hope I see you next time. Stay safe.